That's right, back Charlie's definitely.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Appreciative to have you lot tuned in. If you're on Twitch, one love. Make sure you're following with Amazon Prime. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button. Now, therapy sessions, as you can see by the title, sadly for me, I believe there's time for changes with Mikel Arteta. I think there's several things that I'll go through that I think you need to go, and address. And I've mentally checked out. As we know, for me in the summer, I didn't believe Arsenal could win a league title. Not because we can't challenge and there are several things to be positive. It's just those couple percentages that get you over the line and get you able to exploit what we're seeing with Manchester City and win a league title or look a lot more positive. I don't think we've done that. There's a lot of talk about luck, and yeah, you could say we've been unlucky at times, but I believe football, like life, you make your own luck. I actually believe luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Now, I know it's easy for me to say, but whether it's Mikel Arteta, the recently departed Edu, or the technical staff at this club, have we maximized everything internally? Have we evolved in the way we needed to do? Did we address everything in the transfer market in terms of preparation so that when the opportunity met itself with Liverpool, with a new manager doing their thing, as much as Chelsea want to play it down, people there in the title race, or specifically with Manchester City looking woeful with every game that comes, that we can exploit that? No, I believe a lot of issues, there are external factors, but collectively for Mikel Arteta in the resources he's in charge of, for Edu where it comes to recruitment, and indirectly the whole ethos of a football club in terms of us now wanting to win a title, we didn't do that. We didn't. A lot of these issues that we're facing in terms of, breaking down low blocks, a lack of a left-hand side, can't really say we've replaced Granit Xhaka, good short-term fixes or solutions that can't get us over the line. A lot of it is self-inflicted problems, if we're honest with ourselves. And let's make no mistake, if you believe we can win a league title, I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, I don't want the players to believe they can't win the Prem or the Champs. I previously said, and I stand by it, the Prem is improbable, the Champs is impossible. Yes, you can start doing the ifs and buts, and this team will drop points and that team will drop points. And you're right, there isn't no need to throw in the towel. But for me, it's about what my eyes are showing me, how we are playing. The same issues, whether we win, lose, or draw, like the last 2 weeks, are still prevalent. These are the same issues. None of the issues we face currently are new phenomenons, a lack of a left-hand side. Yes, the players have to take responsibility, but we know Martinelli's fallen off a cliff. We know Martinelli, Trossard, Gabriel Jesus is very volatile. We know that we haven't addressed that Granit Xhaka role or found that 8 position, whether it's been Declan Rice, whether Mikel Moreno's going to play there, whatever have you. We've been knowing about the issues on the left-hand side. We know if the right-hand side ain't quite out, we're in issues. We know, while I think Kai Havertz has done well and doesn't deserve to be scapegoated, we know he's not a striker that's going to make his own goals and turn a couple of defeats into draws and draws into victory. A short-term solution, and we're making it a long-term goal. There was ultimately complacency. Yes, the club tried to do what they did in the market, fair enough, but if the players try to win, or Arteta tries to win, and they don't necessarily do that, then there's praise and critique where fair. It's very easy to point the finger, man, and again, social media is not a good judge of anybody, but I'm seeing people even getting at young Ethan Nwaneri. Now, if you're looking at him where he was as bad or as good as everyone collectively, if you're looking at a young, inexperienced man to make a change for us, it's absolute nonsense. If we're relying on a 17-year-old to change a game for us of that magnitude, with the context, we're in issues. If we're still relying on the same players and having the same old conversations, bearing in mind, some Arsenal fans said don't sign a striker because we've got Kai Havertz. You cannot stand in the rain and ask why you're wet. Now, I can have criticisms of Arteta, of the club, many a thing, but now's not the time for this scapegoating. It's very easy to play the blame game, which indirectly we are doing. It's a lot harder to think. And again, I always say, I don't tell you what to think, just think. Mikel Arteta, again, football more than me via your playing days, your early coaching careers, etc. But something needs to change. I don't know what you need to change. You keep talking about the 20 meters and the final and the final third. we are playing how you want us to play, whether you needed to do things in the market, whether we're creating, because we all know low blocks were an issue. Another thing that we didn't just wake up and see, this is for you. So you need to go back to the drawing board. You need to trust other players. You need to find internal solutions. There needs to be a change. And ultimately, that's why I've checked out. I think we're a good team, but I think that couple extra percentages that get us over the line, I don't think they were there in the summer. And I'd love to be wrong, I don't think they're there. We'd need a lot of luck. We'd need to go on a perfect run. You'd have to hope that City remain doing what they're doing. Chelsea have a bit of a fall off, because it's one thing talking about Liverpool. Chelsea are not going away. And obviously with Liverpool, a lot of it is self-inflicted, especially the knock-on effects with injuries. We've been knowing last season we kind of had a clear run, but if you want to break it down, for the vast majority of that season at the time, obviously Timber had an ACL, Tomiyasu was out, Partey was not showing the fitness he was showing now. You've missed key players. You said in February we've got one of the smallest squads. You said in the summer it was quite unique to have Gabriel, Benjamin White and Saliba fit. Saliba's been suspended, fair enough. Gabriel's been missing the last couple of weeks and we've ticked over. Benjamin White's had surgery. Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, the same sort of injury things are still prevalent. So to me, I don't think, speaking for me and me as a fan that just watches the team, all of these issues didn't just wake up overnight. There's no new phenomenon with this, really and truly. If we want to do this challenging for challenging, if we want to do the challenging, get through to the latter stages of the Champions League, not necessarily win it, but go to the latter stages and don't find ourselves with any problems. We've got enough. We've been, the last 2 years we've done enough. If we want to get over the line or get over the hill and really win something of significance during this Emirates era, then things need to change. Now, I don't know about you lot, people. I would love to be proven wrong. I think we got to do something in January, but where we're linked with the Kuduses and the Isaacs and the people of this ilk, for me, I can't see it. Just because I can't see it don't mean it's not going to happen, really and truly. And I believe, as I said, it's time. It's more than anything. It's time for solutions. It's time to think. Going into the season, there was more questions than answers. And I think where you're going for a league title, you need to know how much clean sheets you're going to get. You need to know if things go tits up, who can get us out of jail. You need to know which attackers are scoring goals. Now, a lot of these guys across the last 2 years have shown they can score goals. But if you're honest with yourself, it's only Bukayo Saka that is going to do it for the majority of the season, which is not fair on Bukayo Saka or us as fans. Obviously, look at Mo Salah, 9 times out of 10, he's the difference maker for Liverpool. But then you've got a couple of other players around them. So I don't really know why people want to sit here and act surprised. I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Neither do I believe of all this, this positive spin, that, unnecessary positive toxicity. Even when you look at half the time we don't win games, right? Which takes me back to the Emirates era where we dominate all the statistics other than scoring enough goals to win a game, right? I look at the underlying data where you look at penalty boxing entries, the field tilts, Mikel Arteta's ability to stifle an opposition or make their manager have the respect that, you lot do what you're going to do. We're just going to bob and weave. Those things are positive. But at the same time, you could look at that and say it's underperforming. There's no point waffling about field tilt, possession, shots on target, penalty box entries if you're not doing the most difficult thing in football, which wins games, which is putting the ball in the back of the net. That's why for me with the Everton game, beyond the isolation of Arsenal versus Everton and the frustration of another week not winning and picking up 4 points, that's where for me I'm frustrated, because you look at the Fulham game, you look at the Everton game, they're very different yet they're very similar. Anytime we buck a low block, we're in issues. Why do you think we've played our best kind of football in Europe so far to date this season? With the exception of battering West Ham at their place, because teams are not setting up to necessarily stifle us. They're a bit naive. If you want to push it, you look at the three at the back that Inter and Atalanta deployed. Is there any coincidence, really, when truly there was nothing to scream and shout about in an attacking sense? The hardest thing to do is put the ball in the back of the net. Goals win games. Goals win games. Winning games gets you more 3 points, and that's what gets you in May lifting the big ears or potentially in the latter stages. Where I look at the champs, I don't think we've got the individual collective quality to do that. The Prem, I think the best and worst thing I can say about this football club is, regardless of what other teams are doing, we shoot ourselves in the foot. I think we can, we've shown we can go on runs of form. We can go away from home. We can get X amount of clean sheets. We can win games. We can be competitive against the top 6. But then we shoot ourselves in the foot where games on paper that we should be winning. And as we know, we say this cliche thing of us Premier League fans of, every game's a cup final, every game's unpredictable, etc., etc. We're not taking heed of this thing. So for me, again, It's what my eyes are telling me. My eyes are telling me, again, purely under the guise of wanting to win a league title, we're carrying too many players. There's too many pretenders, there's too many passengers, and collectively as a club, you drop the ball. And it makes me think, really and truly, did you really want to win a league title? Because, Mikel Arteta, you've signed a new deal, right? Isolate that for a second and look at those above him. Have you, well, I do criticize how Arteta spent money, how he's had faith in certain players and all of that. He has to hold that, right? But the whole ethos, was you lot happy with that summer, especially after what you lot told us on the last day of the season? Because if you was, that tells me two things. You lot would like to win a league. You're not dying to win a league. And as I said in the summer, I believe whether I want Arteta to stay or not, as long as you don't get embarrassed in Europe, you get to the latter stages of the cups, you finish in, bearing in mind, remember I said top 3 positions in the summer, I think you're cool. And Mikel Arteta, whether you're happy with the summer, whether you think Edu or the Cronkies have let you down or yada, 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 how relevant is that? You signed a new deal, so that tells me you're happy with the remit that whatever the club's put in front of you. And for those above him, they've got a man that's cool with all of this, really and truly. And again, with Mikel Arteta, yeah, you can say you've had limited funds and all of this sort of stuff, and you've been shortchanged, and we can quickly blame Edu and all of these things. But we all know how strong Mikel Arteta's voice is. Unpopular opinion, I think we needed to sign Calafiori, even though he's injured at this moment. But you could be devil's advocate and say you've been allowed to sign a left back where on paper at the time it wasn't evidently clear. As good as or as bad as Kai Havertz has been, I can't be surprised that, I think we've drawn enough blood out of Kai Havertz. I actually don't criticize Kai Havertz beyond the obvious. I just think you've been put in boots you can't fill. Was that 65 million the best spent? It's been 3 years now. Well, no, 2 years where you haven't replaced Granit Xhaka. You've tried Declan Rice, you've tried Kai Havertz. Mikel Moreno plays as an 8, and indirectly I like that because it means Rice is a 6, but that is not an organic Xhaka replacement. Really and truly, we haven't got too much bang for our buck, specifically winning titles. So have you spent the money that's been available to you in the best possible way? I don't believe so, people, which is why I said, for me, I think a lot of these issues, in my opinion, are self-inflicted, really and truly. And that's why you're in a position we face ourselves now where there isn't, too much. You look at the relegation places, apart from Southampton, who are defo going down, nothing's decided. The relegation places, the Europa League places, the Conference League places, the top 4 race. Obviously Liverpool are running away with the league, but I would say it's far from decided at this moment in December. There's still everything at play, which takes me back to what I said. If we prepared in the best way, opportunity that we faced ourselves, which no one predicted with City now, we would have been able to exploit it. But it's all ifs, buts, and the third. Smash the like button. You look at the Premier League, 5th place is only 9 points off Liverpool. But hey, tells you everything, really and truly. And again, self-inflicted. You deserve more, Arsenal fans. It takes me back to on the 16th of December, ironically, 4 years ago when Saka said it. Now Saka can't demand anything more of you, but it's looking peak. And again, Mikel Arteta, again, the players have to take responsibility. Everyone needs to be blamed. But you could add a caveat by saying Kai Havertz, I don't quite agree with, he looks better at Arsenal than he does at Chelsea, but he's being held in higher regards. And he had a great second half of the season. Trossard's not a bad player. Neither is Martinelli. They're having issues. You've brought in Raheem Sterling. You've got Saka. You've got great collective options. Now, all of these players, bar Bukayo Saka, needs to pull their pants up. And Odegaard, you needed to score at the weekend. How you didn't, I don't know. But collectively, should creating chances, proper chances, not this fancy nerd XG stuff. Because I think, on one hand, you got the Arteta outers who just seem like they just drink beer in the pub and chat shit. You've got these snooty XG and Arteta changed my life merchants who it's a weird cult following where you can't. We're in this weird place where asking questions and criticizing is seen as a witch hunt. It's like they think that they know ball more than everyone and they're so right and we're so wrong, and everyone on both sides just on some I got you moment. Arteta, you've spent mad money, Obviously, we know there's some context behind why certain players are not performing. Odegaard, great player, Capitano. Why you're rightly or wrongly, the fact that, for me against Everton shows me everything went tits up, because when have you seen Arteta consistently use 5 subs? You've pulled off Declan Rice, who wasn't playing as an 8, but has been doing that and takes the set pieces. You've taken off your creative king, Martin Odegaard, and then you're relying on a young Ethan, as talented as Ethan on where he is. You don't know what you're going to get for 5 to 10 games if he was to start. He ain't got 100 career appearances, even 50. He's learning. So you're putting man in boots they can't fill. And when you look at these collective options, creating chances should not be a problem of this football club. A lot of these things we've seen for a year, even around this period last season, what was going on. So are we taking heed of the previous lessons? Life will show you the same thing again and again until you want to learn. No Premier League side has created more expected goals from set pieces than Arsenal through the 16 round of fixtures. Set piece gaffer, Nicholas Over, that aspect of us, spot on. Just keep developing it. Even when you look at the last 3 games, Sean Dyche's men love set pieces as well as we do. So naturally, they were going to be switched on. Obviously, we scored against Fulham, but I think they did very well marking from set pieces. Monaco, the same. And teams are actually going to clock that because that's made the difference for us on occasion. But when you haven't got the set pieces, which, yeah, you have to get the ball from one end of the pitch to the other to create set pieces. When that's not working, what else? This should just be an added facet of our game. So yeah, big them up. We rank in the bottom half for that stat when accounting for open play. Now, forget what rivals are doing, whatever. Yes, Arsenal spent money, more people spent money. We are not getting bang for our buck. Kai Havertz cost 65 million. Martin Odegaard cost 30 million. Gabriel Jesus cost 45 million. Fair enough. Martinelli was here a long time. He cost 6 million. It's not the biggest in that, but you add that to the fee, however much Trossard costs. When you look at all of that, should this be an issue? There's too much money spent for this being an issue. They say defense wins titles, and I think we've dropped. I got a lot of hate for saying we've dropped off a cliff defensively this season, and that goes for the whole team. Defense wins titles. Surely, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because obviously I've just said the hardest thing to do in football is to score goals, which I maintain, right? But surely, in terms of defending, that is harder to do or to install across a calendar than creating chances. I don't know, people. But what I do know is the stats don't tell the truth, but they also don't lie. We also lag way behind our rivals when it comes to live passes leading to goals, with a total of 34, way down from stat leaders Chelsea as well as 6 other sides. Now, Chelsea have been terrible defensively by their own standards, but you create chances, you win goals, as well as 6 other sides, including relegation battling Wolves. It's not as if their total goals numbers are particularly impressive either. With 29 so far, they're on course to score roughly 69 across the 38-game calendar, which Mikel Arteta said, and I've showed it before, we need to be a team that scores 100 goals if we want to win a league title. We knew coming into this season, obviously you don't know how it pans out and you don't know the points tally, but you need to be looking at 90 points. You need to be scoring 100 plus goals. You need X amount of clean sheets. You need attackers that are going to get, while one striker might get you 20 or thereabouts, Saka is getting double figures. Other men need to get double figures. So it was a lot of naivety. So it leads me to believe we'd like to win a league title. We're cool with just challenging. We are, for all of the buzzwords and all of these kind of things. This is not on. This is not good enough. And more than anything, we're cheating ourselves. Like I said, we can say Arteta's to blame for this, recruitment for that, players for that. But at the end of the day, we're all in this we're in this collectively. It's easy to blame. It's hard to think. And collectively, we're not doing our jobs, in which a team is a reflection of the manager. If we've regressed in the final third, regressed in the defensive third, question marks over the middle third, how do you expect to win a Premier League title? How do you expect to win a Champions League? I don't disagree with the logic some fans say about we're better in the cups. Champions League's all about moments, And if we just simple it down, defending and scoring. Against Bayern, we were okay across the 2 legs. But where it came to the differences of defending when you need to and scoring, did we do that? Fair play, though. A team's a reflection of the manager. Their team, as much as we criticize the players and yeah, they could do better, the players are only doing what the gaffer's telling them. And as I said before, I don't dislike the patient play we have, going down the left, going down the right, working it. But there needs to be, it's like there's a lot of jabs. We need to sometimes go for the knockout blow. I don't know if Arteta needs to let the players have a bit more freedom, if there's things he needs to tweak, if players need to pull their knickers up and get with it, or a bit of everything. I don't know, but that's what I see as an honest Arsenal fan just watching my football club play, people. It's not on, man. Like, it is what it is, really and truly. And I'm not surprised. And even last season, when certain fans wanted, the positive merchants, overly positive merchants, where the point where they're liars, wanted to say, oh, we got 90 odd goals in this. I said it then. I said, I'm not doubting that. It's shown that we can go up the gears. It's shown we have got goals. It's shown we have got different goal scorers. But when you break it down, Trossard found his feet towards the second half of last season. Kai Havertz, defo did. A lot of them were via set pieces, and a lot of them were with Bukayo Saka. Now, in good or bad moments, is this not still prevalent? A lot of the things us Arsenal fans have been worrying about, and I'm speaking for the balanced fans. You can think Arteta's not the guy, be as negative as you want. You can think he is the guy and be as positive as you want, as long as you're applying balance, which all of you lot are here, because that's what we do on this platform, right? A lot of these things were prevalent. Like, they were prevalent even in the summer. I don't think Moreno's a bad player. I don't think you're a difference maker. I think you're a squad player, but we're looking at you to revitalize this midfield. What's going on? I don't think Kai Havertz is bad. I wouldn't have bought him. I still maintain that 65 million could have been better spent. But I can't act surprised when a short-term solution, which that's how it initially panned out for Kai, it weren't working out in midfield. Jesus was injured. You've played up front before. You scored a Champions League winning goal for Chelsea. Got there. We took it. We ran with it. And I want to pick my words quite carefully here. But I think that was the best and worst thing for Arsenal, because when we were looking at these Sescos and these Isaacs and this and that in the summer, yeah, there's nuances around it, people. But I'm pretty sure, like what a lot of fans were saying, I'm pretty sure internally at Arsenal, they probably sat there and said, oh, we got Kai. He could do it again. In which I don't doubt it. But you know Kai is limited. If you do not create, you're in issues. You know he's not clinical like that. I think Kai is cool. And as I said, where I look at Moreno, where I look at Kai, where I look at the knock-on effects with injuries, I've got past the point of drawing out the players because they didn't buy themselves. We didn't wake up overnight and have this squad. In the same way it appeared that we had stability, we had a good squad, we had difference makers, it doesn't look like that. We're too far along in this project to still be waffling about. And I loved Granit Xhaka. I think we miss him. But Granit Xhaka weren't Xavi, weren't Iniesta, weren't Cesc Fabregas, Santi Cazorla, them kind of guys. We still ain't addressed that. Still haven't fixed that left-hand side, which was there last year. These are not new problems. So we can't act like this is something new. Yeah, we can say, oh, we was on. Yeah, the red card shagged us. And there were times, you know, it is what it is. Fine margins have gone for and against us. As I said in the summer, this is a season of fine margins. Fine margins is what gets you over the line. The only saving grace is on paper. Yeah, you can fight for a league title. But we can talk about Liverpool dropping points, Chelsea dropping points, City dropping points as much as we want. We need to be able to take points. And it's out of your hands. You've still got another North London derby, still got to play Chelsea, still got to go to Anfield, in which I hope, you know, the football writers, Arsenal go on a mad run. We finally win at Anfield in the Premier League in forever long. You know, I'm sure I could be wrong, but I'm sure we play Liverpool away, Southampton away in like the last kind of stretches. The only benefit is December. There's no Dubai trip, so I don't know what these guys got to do, but they got to get with it. And again, without context, the data, people. Arsenal's Premier League points tally after 16 games across the last 3 seasons. In the 2022-23 season, of course, the fixture calendar list is not the same, but we had 43 points. Last season, where we finished 2 points off, we had 39 points, which is still 9 points more than what we have at this moment in time. You know, for me, excluding the Champions League, looking at the Premier League, first game of the season against Wolves, I wasn't too happy. But you got 3 points. Aston Villa, I said the problems are still there, but you nicked it. You can have a couple of games like that. You nicked it. People called me negative for when we beat Southampton and Leicester. It's not because I want to be negative. It's about fine margins, people. City, fair enough. I actually would I wouldn't say proudest moments, but the City game, I cut the team a bit of slack. Cool. You know, the only criticism I can really have is probably how we started that game. Maybe you could look back from a tactical point of view of how we conceded the equalizer, but I think it was a quality performance with 10 men. I've got no issues. Fair enough. I think Brighton at home, 10 men or not, we should have killed that in the first half. You know, the Liverpool game management was the issue. We didn't know whether we should stick or twist or really go for it. And the one time in the second half we did, which maybe we shouldn't, you play around with the Trents, the Salahs, you concede a share of the spoils. Take nothing away from Pedro Neto's goal against us. It was quality. But the build up to that after going to go ahead, and we only looked like we was consistently going to score when Mikel Moreno came on and he's making those third man runs. This is not new stuff. It's not new stuff. And this ain't me trying to be negative or positive. This is just me commenting on what I am seeing with my own eyes, people. Arsenal have now dropped points in 8 of their opening 16 Premier League games. So that's half. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. And we've conceded. Every goal is avoidable. Every goal is sloppy. Aston Villa at the time cut you some slack. You ran away with it. Second half, we did what we needed to do. But we should have heeded the lessons. Wolves' first game of the season weren't the worst, but weren't the best. Cool, you did what you needed to do. Brighton, I've gone over that. North London derby quality. We've gone over City. The 2 goals we conceded against Leicester were shocking. Take nothing away from one of James Justin's. The same goals for Southampton, but you got over it. The way we rocked up at Bournemouth, tactically and just mentality, unacceptable for Bournemouth away, which you're seeing them doing their thing in the league. And you know what Areola's on. Respectfully to Bournemouth, with the manager merry-go-round and with what Areola's doing, which is not a new phenomenon we've seen before, he might be set for another club soon, people. But it's unacceptable to turn up there. Liverpool, there were injuries and stuff, and for the large part, calm. You know, it was a better performance than I thought going into it, but we dropped points at the death. And there's been a couple of times we've dropped points at the death, and it's been a sour pill to kind of swallow. Newcastle at St. James's Park. When you look at the fixture calendar list, whenever it's announced before the season starts, right, I would say for Arsenal fans going into this season, for us, St. Mary's, For us, Old Trafford, we did do the double over United. We don't typically travel well there. What else is there? Anfield, St. James's Park, them kind of grounds. You look for them beyond the obvious where you look for the top six. The way we rocked up at Newcastle, unacceptable. But cool, you could say bad day happens in football. It is what it is. Chelsea, madness. You've done what you needed to do with Nottingham Forest. I've got no complaints about that. West Ham, if I was to talk about fine margins and the weirdness of games and us needing to get to the next level, we went 4 goals up. I had this little moment where if you disregarded the scoreline, you would have thought it was even. You can say that's the beauty of the Premier League, but you could also say this is the stuff we need to improve upon. Man United, all right, we took care of business. No issues there. Fulham, Taylor, 2 halves, really. We dominated both halves, but at the end of the day, you've got to be efficient in the boxes. The second half, we looked a lot more likely like scoring. Obviously, the winner was ruled out of offside, but you could add a caveat of both Mikel Arteta's tactics and the players. And obviously, it's very different. But for me, the Fulham and the Everton game, it was like watching the same game. That's where my frustrations come from, because it's how much time is going to do the same thing, asking for something different. And again, Mikel Arteta, you can't cry. Whether you've been done dirty behind the scenes or not, end of the day, signed a new deal. You've been bigged up. This is now your football team with the players. It is what it is. Forget us at our best. It's also at us our worst. Even when you look at Raheem Sterling, like, I don't think Raheem Sterling's the Messiah. I think equally, if he was to play right now, he's not going to be the sharpest. And what we're saying about the other left wing options, we would be saying. But at the end of the day, you got a man in the squad, you're not utilizing him. You're a man that a man that you as a chief operator, if you watch the City documentaries around him being a better goal scorer. Forget all of these players at their best. What about at their worst, where if none of them are performing, do you still think they're better options than Sterling? Which I'm not saying they are or ain't, but that tells a story in itself, does it not? 8 points dropped. I'm not here to waffle about the points dropped and get nervous about the potential points gained or not gained. All we can do is move forward. You've got 2 big games this week. You got to go to Selhurst Park on the weekend, and you've got a quarterfinals in which I hope to be wrong, but let's be real. We don't know what's going to happen with the United game in the FA Cup, but between the FA Cup and the League Cup, probably the only realistic chances of silverware. Let's be 100% honest. And again, the Everton game reflect domination. I like that with Arteta. You stifle teams. You do all of that stuff. But the added components that get us over the line, our own ethos, that invention and that intention in the final third is lacking. And there's been too much money spent. There's even a bigger conversation about Arteta's attackers, but you've brought in Trossard. You've brought in Trossard, Jesus, and Kai Havertz. What's going on? You've got to make it happen, essentially. So you can waffle about the XG being 1.58 or to Everton 0.17, but it doesn't mean anything. You know Sean Dyche weren't rocking up to play football. And I'm not criticizing Sean Dyche or whatever. You get the point. So you can have 682 passes, which was our highest total. Games are going to be like that. There's been games, maybe not so much now or in the last 2 years, maybe last season, where when we've played City or we've been in moments where we've been the inferior side, and we've said, even to a degree, the North London derby, we've said, come break us down if you can. That's what Everton did. You can't get mad when teams are doing low blocks and deep blocks and wasting time and trying to disrupt your rhythm when we was doing that. They can't play us off the park for football. Not that we're playing great. So why would they not leave with something they're good at? So big up Everton, people. And I'm not saying Mikel Arteta is being rude, naive, obnoxious, or anything like that. You're entitled to do what you want to do, right? But I don't really like answers like this. Now, I know privately you're trying to address this and you're thinking of stuff and whatnot. But to me, as an ignorant fan, if I did want to take that route, when you're asked if he's concerned about us not scoring for 3 games from open play in the Premier League, he said we scored 3 from open play 3 days ago. He's referring to the Monaco game. What does that mean? I'm not an idiot. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know if it will play any relevance. I do think we'll be in a moment like last season where we'll start scoring from open play. But it might be too late then. And even when that happened last year, we're still sat here a year later or so saying the exact same thing. So how far are these things going? As I said, I'm not here to blame any people. You know, Arteta's got to take blame. Players got to take blame. Recently departed Edu's got to take blame. The Cronkies, indirectly, everything. It's your business. I hate to refer to this fantastic, beautiful club as that, but it's your business. Everyone's got to take blame. It's easy to point fingers. It's much tougher to point fingers at yourself. So at the end of the day, get on with it. And you need to. You got a double header against Crystal Palace, including an away game at the weekend, and a quarterfinals midweek, which we will be doing a watch along. You've got Ipswich, which again, it's been the games on paper that have scared Arsenal fans. We should be beating Ipswich. But you've seen Ipswich, take points off United, give Liverpool a tough game. I'm sure they beat Spurs, so you can't really look at that. Brentford and Brighton away. I don't need to tell you why. You got to stand up. And then you've got United in the FA Cup, so get with it. It's simple as that. And Maresca can play down being in a title challenge as much as he wants. And I think, for what it's worth, I know managers are liars, but I think he is being genuine. I do believe that. Obviously, winning a league potentially with Chelsea, not the same with Leicester, but I get it. He's not necessarily happy where he is. But really and truly, internally at Chelsea, do you not think they're saying, you know what? Just keep winning our games, doing what we're doing. It's a crazy season. It is what it is. We could. I don't think Liverpool sat there in the summer and thought they're going to win the league title. I don't think I think Arsenal did, but I don't think you could with the things that we've been talking about on brand people. But at the end of the day, results and points on the board dictate the narrative. In the same way, our first year, remember the first title challenge? We were trying to play it down. People were bullying us like, no, you're in a title challenge. It's here. And this is why, self-inflicting errors is not why we're not where Liverpool is, or if not necessarily where Liverpool is, we're not necessarily a lot more positive. And you can have all of these positive statistics, but unless something changes, it is going to remain more of the same, and similar results within the context of the Fulhams and of the Evertons is what it is. And the manager can't keep coming out here and saying we deserve to win, we dominated. All of that can be true, but he didn't score goals. I keep giving the example, obviously, for me, it's like a boxer just trying to win games on points, win a boxing fight on points. That's how we're doing it. If this was a boxing game, the judges would probably award Arsenal the win, but that's not how football works, man. Again, on the substitution of Declan Rice, Arteta said I had to take him out because he was feeling something. He's been with a little niggle for the last week or so. He has to be subbed in that moment. We have to do it. And again, the size of the squad. The players that are durable are going to be running the ground. We're going to have the same old conversations. Big up, Ethan. We can ask questions, but there's no way I'm looking at you I would love for you to score, but there's no way I can look at a 16, 17, 18-year-old to make the difference in the context of a game. Jorginho, I think your cameo was decent, but again, it weren't enough, was it, really and truly? On Odegaard, he said, with Odegaard, it was a tactical decision to try change their rhythm, especially on that side with Ethan comes in and scores a goal. Is he a great sub? If he doesn't, you have to take your captain out. That's football. If he even scored, it would have been a masterclass, but it didn't happen. And I hear it, Odegaard's coming back into fitness and all of that, but it's becoming a regular theme of taking off Odegaard in moments like that. And you could add the caveat of get the young, impressionable Ethan there, keep Odegaard in. Odegaard's your chief creator. You never know, something might happen, and you could extend that to Declan Rice as well. And, obviously social media would have seen, fans are getting a bit annoyed at Mikel Arteta, at the Emirates doing all of that. And I don't disagree, Arteta. Get the fans up. By the end of the day, the fans are going to be as positive or as negative as the football. There was a point last season the Emirates was rocking. We had a great atmosphere. I couldn't believe the Emirates, which has never been the best of atmospheres. We have to manage the frustration and timing. If not, we start to speed up the game when there's no room to speed it up. And we try to rush the game and lose a grip of the game. We have to stay very far away from that. For what it's worth, I do believe that, people. And if you are looking for a saving grace, unfortunately, Spurs and Chelsea won. Manchester United won, which means we couldn't terrorize our United supporting friends, but they did take points of City. Liverpool did drop points. So it all depends. And to be fair, Chris, did you not see Eddie Nketiah's miss? He got an assist, but did you see his miss? Palace finally get a win when they're on the eve of a doubleheader against us. And at the end of the day, people, 16 games played, where Liverpool have a game in hand, obviously, because they missed out the Merseyside derby. But I don't know what to make of it. Because reality is you're still only 6 points off top. But the way, for me, it's not about statistics and if this happens and that happens. It's about how we are playing. Then I might be a bit more optimistic. No one has dropped fewer points per game since the start of November than City. We're not in position to take advantage of that, people. I'm missing out something. Apparently, where the transfer window is concerned, people, and I don't know if you're going to be positive or negative, but Arsenal are presently of the view that only injuries or an exceptional, unexpected opportunity will push them to commit a considerable sum in January. Boy. Well, there you have that, people, man. But that's a bit at end of my therapy. Before we carry on, big up yourself, Inner Circle. I checked out a long time ago. The transfer window doomed us, and I said so. Let too many go without getting upgrades. Kai Havertz has 5 goals this season. 1 versus Wolves, Southampton, Leicester. To be fair, was it Southampton or Leicester? We was chasing the game. Kai scored a decent goal. West Ham and Brighton, none against the top 6. 2 assists versus Wolves and Fulham. This is why I can't get vexed at Kai, because you're not a driller. Like, you ain't got that in you, really. Like, we're putting you in boots you can't feel. We're not learning our lessons. And yeah, I mean, there's constructive criticism to ask of Kai and say he's not good enough and not performing enough. But I see a limited player that's done very well, that, and all of that stuff. But I can't really, I'm more on how we've assembled the squad now, really and truly, than the little isms and schisms. But you're bang on the money, man. Can't really act surprised. DG mocking us with the pool. That's harsh, man. Told everyone he would flop. His last 2 performances have been awful, wasted our money on a dud and helped Chelsea rebuild, so they're better than us now. Chelsea couldn't believe their luck. You mean to tell us you're prepared to give us 65 million, which is 5 million less than we spent? He won us the Champions League. He literally scored the goal, so we'll call it quits. I don't think Chelsea needed the money for the rebuild, but, Chelsea are just playing a lot better and doing what they're doing, really, and Arteta's going to have to own that. Because as good as Kai was last season, even though I have a lot more respect for him than I ever had in a Chelsea shirt, and he's worked out a lot better than I thought, ultimately, again, just by looking at the guys of winning the title, in your current role, it can't persist. It can't. And indirectly, there's an issue because sure, I think at this period now, people see why you need a squad. Arsenal fans always do this thing. I'm not saying anyone here, but, in a few weeks ago, oh, you know what, Ben White's not going to get no football. We've got Timber. You're seeing the bodies drop at this moment in time. So, yeah, it's jarring, man. Chelsea might win the league if Maresca manages them well in the back half of the season. Disgusting. Big up G1, man. You're only here when Arsenal take L's, man. Last summer was criminal, not getting a strike at the minimum. We really could have done with cover for Saka too. Now, us fans, we don't know ball, but, again, these issues are not anything new. Even back to the first season we fought for the title, everyone was saying Martinelli and Saka look a bit spent. These are issues that we didn't just wake up and see this. So did the club really want to win a trophy, or would they like to win a trophy? I'm not angry, just disappointed. Arsenal do not heed corrections, so they must feel the consequences. Amen. Now Pep is out of the picture. Have we adequately prepared? This was done in August. Boy, there you have it. Did the club really believe Havertz was going to be a consistent goal scorer this season? Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus. If I can know they aren't going to score when we need a goal, why doesn't the club know? They either are extremely naive and think life is Disney Channel, or they knew and they were unable to address it. Whether they tried or not, you was unable to. It's as simple as that. Either way, we find ourselves in the issue and we're having the talking points that we have now. And I'm not saying anyone, but a lot of fans criticizing the club, and yeah, they're paid to make the difference. They're paid to be smart, but a lot of fans were saying, don't sign a striker. You got Kai Havertz. If you go and sign a striker now, Havertz can still get football, but you can make a case of, do you need to reshuffle the squad? You got a man on 200 grand a week. As good or as bad as Kai has been, and you know what, big him up for the second half of last season. I don't know who you would have signed, but could that 65 million be put better elsewhere? These are all questions I have no answers to. In fact, there's more questions this season than answers, which is why the league's a mad thing. The league is improbable. The Champions League is impossible. I can't remember your quote word for word, but it rings true this season. You got it word for word, man. And I want to be wrong. I don't want to be right. I feel when it comes to the content creators and the journalists, everyone wants to do this one-upsmanship. I told you so. I want to be wrong. I want to sit here and get clipped up and Arsenal win a Prem and a Champs. Forget either one, which I'd buy your arm off. But I can only say what I feel. Obviously, with new information and new things provided, my opinions can change. But I want to be wrong. But there's no way you can watch what's going on now and say Arsenal are going to win stuff. You can do the mathematics, which, yeah, that's right. But there's no way you can look at it and say we are. And if we are, we need a lot of luck. We need to assume we win all these games, and we need to hope Liverpool fall off a cliff. I'm never going to ask for injury crisis, but you're asking that. Either way, it's out of your hands. And some of you Arsenal fans are going to get back in that scenario where you're cheering on Spurs against City, which some of you have done. Boy, we're having the same old, was talking about the same old things. If we was playing, if we didn't have the open play issues, if we addressed stuff in the market and we still found ourselves in this situation, then yeah, there would still be question marks. But you could say, all right, cool, the intention was there. There's so much self-inflicted errors. The fans can do the woe is me thing. There's no way people that actually work for Arsenal that make the difference with recruitment can. I've even seen some fans going at Ethan and are trying to protect other underperformers. To be fair, it feels like everyone's getting heat, but we need to allow the Ethan thing. Like, the man's 17. Go out there and enjoy it, be a kid. He can't make the difference on a consistent basis. Don't let, like I tweeted, don't let poor results make you come out and see madness. I think some of my, if we call content creator colleagues, coming out and saying absolute madness. Big up yourself, nameless Gooner. What was Arteta honestly expecting to unfold this season? Havertz and Jesus as our striking options. When you find out, let me know. But even with Kai Havertz, he's a service-reliant striker. How many goals did Kai Havertz dance past 3-4 plays? A lot of them were headers. A lot of them were tap-ins. And I'm not dissing Kai Havertz. I might be reaching, but, scored a good goal against Chelsea, to be fair with you, last season. Scored a good goal either against Leicester or Southampton. A lot of them were tap-ins. You've got a service-reliant striker. You're not providing service for this limited striker, and he's not performing. I can't really act surprised of what I'm seeing. And again, even with Kai Havertz, look at the fall off between Kai Havertz playing up front and Gabriel Jesus. I'm not getting at Kai. I'm not getting at Jesus. It's a recruitment thing, which Arteta, you've got to hold. Edu recently departed. You've got to hold. All the people that are in charge of this, you've got to hold that. You know, you look at the low blocks, and obviously Fabio Vieira needed to cut. The bigger question would be, you didn't bring someone in. You let Kai have, you let Smith Rowe cut. You let Fabio Vieira cut. Low blocks. Now, I'm no football mathematician, yeah, but low blocks, mid blocks, compact units. What is how does moving the ball from the left, from the right in front of them on a consistent basis move them out of position? Surely you only have two options. That's where Mikel Arteta, quote unquote, forgets his footballing principles. Where there was a time Tini was playing as an organic fullback. You forget your principles and you say, you know what, I like my fullbacks getting into midfield, but now hold the touchline. Wingers, hold the touchline. Create proper width. We ain't really got it, but dynamic central midfielders making late runs, helping in wide areas. That's one way of stretching a deep block unit. Or and it doesn't really, it's more getting in the cute and clever spaces. You get the Smith Rowes, Ethans, Odegaards, Fabio Vieiras, and I'm not saying Fabio Vieira would have made a difference, but you get those cute and clever players in the pockets, making runs off the ball. You know, all it takes is one, whether it was against Everton or against Fulham, one man to switch off and you're in. We're not doing either. We're still playing the same way. Arteta has to, same way I praise the guy, you've got to hold your criticisms. A lot of these things are self-inflicted issues. Arteta has spawned two polar opposite cults. One can never blame him. The other can only blame him. Exactly. Bang on the money. Exactly. And that's it. I'm not going to say that's more frustrating than what my team is or isn't doing, but they're both dishonest. You can think Arteta needs to, don't get twisted. You can think Arteta needs to go. He's not the man, etc. And you can believe he's the guy. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying when you start being dishonest and you either act like everything's terrible and the man's done no good, or at this climate, at this moment in time, you hide behind this possession stats and all of this crap and make out everything's rosy. If I go into a public toilet and there's skid marks on the wall, I'm not going to tell you it smells like daffodils. What's going on? It's an idiot thing. I wanted to be wrong. You don't take out your captain for a 17-year-old and expect to win the game. I can't lie, I called it from the summer. The title is Kalas. Honestly, bored of it now. Fully checked out of the season. I'm just tuning in for the vibes at this point. I love my football club. Will always support. But in terms of winning a big trophy, until I see significant change with what Mikel Arteta is doing, with the players' form, with small hope for January, don't care about next season. I hate to agree with Patrice Evra, but he's bang on the money. It's always next season. And these same ones that do all this positive BS, they always say, oh, what player would you have got? There's no players available. Yeah, me sitting here on YouTube, I can't tell you what players, but that's not my job. You mean to tell me the same recruitment staff that found all of these guys, and we talk about, you know, background checks and data and collaboration, there ain't a bunch of players that of different tiers that could improve us? Are we the City treble winning side? Are we the Arsenal Invincibles? Are we Real Madrid? Because then I would heed that. But really and truly, especially what we're seeing up front, and forget up front, the left-hand side, central midfield and out wide. Really? Fair enough then. Because then if we're meant to be this superstar team that there's not these guys that can improve us, then I expect to not have these talking points. Arteta kills attackers. A bit harsh. I think indirectly, I don't know, man. I think he's gone the other way. I think there was times where we was a lot more attacking and those fine margins would go against us. I'm not dropping Tomiyasu in it, but you remember a close City game. I think Tomiyasu made a mistake and Kevin scored a wonderful finish when Ramsdale was off his line. Or, you know, you look back the 2022-23 season where the football was great, but we might kill a team in the first half. Second half, it's a bit, I think that scarred him. I think he's gone the other way. As I said, I actually like what the things I'm frustrated about in isolation. I like the fact that Mikel Arteta plans for the opposition. I like the patient build-up play, but we've gone the other way. No matter how you shape it, and I'm not naive. Clearly, he's got some identity around the team, etc. But we're not bringing nothing really and truly. And I do think these things are killing attackers. You look at Arsenal right now; it's a miracle Saka's still thriving, and you do wonder how much more Saka would thrive if we actually attack. I won't quite say Mikel Arteta's killed attackers because it might have been a purple patch for Martinelli, but Martinelli had his best goal-scoring season at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. Smith Rowe the same. Saka is getting better and better. Martin Odegaard's doing his thing. Kai Havertz got double figures last season. Whether I agree with these players being the difference makers or not, I can't quite say he kills attackers, man. All you fan cans need to give yourself a brain. You all want him gone, but wouldn't name a reputable replacement for him. Remember how empty the stadium was before Arteta came. Good luck in keeping Paul. I didn't say anything about sacking him or not sacking him. If Arteta was to leave, I can't say I'd be mad. If he was to stay, I can't say I'd be mad. We're in this weird kind of place. And I agree and disagree. I agree in that you can't just be talking about sacking a man mid-season and then you're going to have to go through that whole stuff again where this player's the manager's player, this one isn't. You need to give the manager time. He's got to rebuild. He's got to do all of that crap again. Of course, you could point to what we've got now and say, find someone that fits the remit. But at the same time, it's a bit like the players, really. You can't just sit here and say Arteta should just stay because there's no one that could improve this thing. You might get a manager and we might get worse. You might get one and we get better. That rhetoric is kind of poor. I'm not saying I want to be like Chelsea or like Manchester United because neither team are where they want to be. But by that logic, they don't do what they've done, really. Like, nobody gets a free pass here, if I'm honest with you. And as fans, we can't sit here, like, as with the players, we can't sit here and know that. In the same way they were smart enough to find Arteta, where to us fans, you were just working with Pep Guardiola, rightly or wrongly. Arteta has transformed us. Are you telling me you can't use them same skills and find someone? If that was the case, realistically, Arteta isn't going if he gets a top 3 finish. Don't get embarrassed in the cups, and there's some level of progress under some meter. Doesn't necessarily have to be silverware. Although Josh Kroenke, Martin Odegaard, Mikel Arteta, several times is what they speak about. The summer was just about as bad as that summer. Wenger didn't sign an outfield player. We could have signed only a Gyökeres or Isaac, and it would have transformed our season. Looked like. 1 second, people. I got someone knocking on the door. I'll be back in a second. Oh, man. Well, that's one benefit, people. My Amazon delivery came, but yeah, back on job now. Back on job on a serious note. But yeah, that can't be the fans. Like, that can't be an excuse, in my opinion. And as I said, I think you need to present it properly in the sense of can't just be screaming Saka, man, and have no solutions. But I do think as Arsenal fans, we get caught in that trap. Who are we gonna buy? Look at the market. It's not our job to know that. Like, obviously, Maresca's done his thing at Leicester, but Chelsea probably didn't 100% know that he'd be the guy, but there was enough reasons to take a chance. I'm not saying to sack him. I'm not saying to keep him. I don't like that logic of not trying to find players to improve or finding managers to improve. And this is the cult kind of stuff I'm talking about, Paul, in that, pardon me, whenever we have a wobble, and I'm quite, you don't know me, when we win, I'm positive. Like, I'll if there's positives, I'll say it. But it's like when we hit a blip and we talk about the problems, people come here and say, "Oh, I'm not saying you're saying this, but I see the comments in my YouTube and ignore it." Actually, they're like, "Oh, support the team at this difficult moment." When did who is not supporting anything? Who is not supporting it? Supporting doesn't mean acting like seeing the world crumbling. Not saying it is, but seeing the world crumbling, acting like everything's great. That's not it. It's not it. And if this manager is this great guy and all of these kind of things, then you need to, with context, I'm not saying do the negative thing or the over positive thing. For us balanced fans that see negatives and positives and whatever, yeah, if you are this guy, then you should be held to that standard. Same way, I'm sure there's question marks. Pep's done so much stuff for City. I'm sure there's question marks. And there's many other managers. If Saka goes on, God forbid, but doesn't score for 10 games, I rate him. So what's going on there? Supporting doesn't mean blindlessly condoning everything. I advocate for thinking. I always say, don't tell you what to think, just think. The only moments players we have are Saka and Trossard, but even Trossard is not consistent enough. Only midfield is good enough for a title challenge is Odegaard and Rice. Rest can get binned. Bit harsh on Partey, but I mean, he's on the wrong side of 30. Big up yourself, Nathan. As the man said, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the like button. We're on a journey to 70k, man. Agree, absolute worst thing that could have happened for us last season was have us actually looking serviceable as a striker. We needed an undeniable quality striker, not fillable, not a serviceable filler. And what I would say, and it probably tells you everything, for the good and bad of Kai, if Kai didn't have the second half of the season or he's not playing up front, where the hell are we now? If Kai was still struggling up front, what the hell are we saying in the summer? Because there's still no guarantee. If we assume that, you know, Sesko said I'm staying at wherever he is, for the life of me, the club's gone, being issues. We've been needing a striker. City at their best had Fernandinho, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, David Silva, and Bernardo Silva. No system can overcompensate for a lack of quality. Big up the ginger beard, one you always hear. We have a worse midfield than Chelsea and Liverpool, worse attack than Chelsea. Defense and Saka only thing keeping us in contention. But hey, we have fewer points because Arteta does not respect the competence of other managers in the league. He thought signing no attacker would produce the same number of goals. Bit harsh. I do think he respects, but at the end of the day, we didn't sign nothing to uplift this thing in issues. Everyone is watching our match film, trying to figure out how to stop us. The squad always needs recruitment. Facts. Imagine having players like Rice, Gabriel, Saliba in front of goal only to play slow, pragmatic, side-to-side passing football. Are we even hitting the points tally we had in 2022-23 at this rate? I think we went over the points tally or the points at this moment. But yeah, Havertz and Jesus cost 110 million. Now everybody spends peas, and I think for Gabriel Jesus, to be fair with you, I think a lot of those contexts are purely just on Gabriel Jesus. If I'm honest, he got the injury. You weren't a consistent goal scorer, but you used to affect the game. I think the first 6 months, Arteta got a tune out of you. And you could see why. But at the same time, from Arteta's clock that we're carrying passengers, I'm not necessarily saying sell Gabriel Jesus, whether he should go or not, because as we know, he's on a decent contract on decent money. There's no way, well, maybe Arteta did or the club did. Maybe Arteta sat there and said, I need more options, and the club didn't do it. But either way, you signed a new deal. So that tells me you're happy with whatever conditions. This is why you're all in it. But being an ignorant fan who's not even talking about that, from you can see Jesus is not the Jesus he used to be. Kai Havertz, as good or as bad, he had a mixed season. Trossard, you don't really rate Trossard like that. Like, he's been getting starts, but there's obviously factors. Martinelli's volatility. You needed to get an X-Man in. I don't really care about, you tried to get Nico Williams, you tried for Rafinha, you tried for this one and that one. We've tried to win the league the last 2 years. Did we get over the line? And I think a lot of these things about, we can't get anyone, the recruitment, this, that, and the other. I just think it's because when something is said so many times, it becomes common belief. And then when you sit there, I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but when you sit there and actually deep it don't make no sense. It really don't. It don't make as much sense as it sounds, as mad as it is. I saw Arteta complaining about the lack of magic moments and box efficiency, but 5 years he signed Havertz and Jesus as our out striker, deserves zero sympathy. He built this sandwich. There you have it. And maybe Arteta is of the belief of you lot are old enough to make decisions. And I get that, because I do think to a degree the players have to, same way the managers probably bailed out the players, there has to be vice versa. But at the same time, they're playing what you're doing. In the same way you're learning on the job, these are players learning on the job. This ain't the Chelsea sides with Jogboy and Frank Lampard. This ain't the Arsenal Invincible sides. This ain't the Man United sides. This ain't the City sides. These are young men. They're old enough to learn from the two titles, but they haven't got that street smartness. So bring someone who does. And when you really deep it, the ones that have illustrious careers and have won stuff at other teams, they're not really the main guys like that. Big up Uncle Jorginho. You're not the main tug like that. I don't know if Partey was at Atletico when they won the league. I could be wrong on that. You are a main guy, fair. Zinni's not a main guy like that. You got us to a point. Jesus ain't a main guy like that. And if they're not main guys, there's quite half the guys with the strongest CVs. They're the ones we got the questions about. There's only a couple of players at Arsenal Football Club as fans where whether they're first team regulars or squad players or whatever, they don't really divide opinion. Saka, come on, Saka can't divide no opinion. Gabriel Magalhaes can't. Saliba can't. Timber can't, Benjamin White can't. For me, Calafiori can't, but then there's injuries. Tomiyasu, quality player. Some people would say, you know what, get rid, the man can't stay fit. Zinni, I do think he gets scapegoated, but at the end of the day, not levels at this moment. Kivior, okay to come in with the squad, not really levels. Havertz, not a bad player, not necessarily a good one, shouldn't be a regular. That would divide opinion. Martinelli, you know me, I love the guy, but at the end of the day, you're not doing your job. There are some fans that would want to sell you. Trossard, I think everyone's cool with him in the squad, but again, there's still question marks. Throw Gabriel Jesus in there. Mikel Moreno, I think, is a floor raiser, but Arteta's trying to make him that guy. There'd be question marks around that. There's probably question marks around Declan Rice, but I think when people stop being silly, you can see he brings something, so there's nothing there. But there's more, again, as I said at the start, there's more questions than answers. And if we just want to be a team fighting, we're at that level. When you want to be a team winning and getting over the line, these are questions that needed answers and still need answers. Arteta put real potatoes in the sandwiches and complaining about gas chick. I'm moving mad. Thomas Frank's lit, man. I like Thomas Frank. If Arteta is staying, he's never touching a transfer again. We still have OT Anfield. Say we get 2 points from these 2 matches. Are we getting 90 points from the rest? Chelsea, Spurs, City, Villa at home remaining. They're going to have to get on with it, man. When does responsibility reach the players? The responsibility is with everyone. It's with everybody. I don't know about anyone else, but I haven't created a witch hunt on the Cronkies. I haven't had a witch hunt on the players. I haven't had a witch hunt on Arteta. As I said, now's not the time to point fingers. There's therefore some things that could be attributed. Everyone just needs to raise it. But when things are going right, based on what I see on social media and on YouTube and that, when things are going right, it's clear certain man got Arteta's dick in their mouth, pardon my French. Can't stop sucking. Pause. Can't stop doing that. Yeah, they can't. When things are going wrong, obviously you get the people doing a bit too much with Mikel Arteta, but then you get the field tilt merchants. It's everyone's fault but Mikel Arteta's. At the end of the day, rightly or wrongly, we're all in this together. Cronkies are not on the training ground, but everything happens as a direct consequence of you lot. You own the club. Mikel Arteta is not on the pitch. It's his job to prepare, find solutions, all of that jazz. But indirectly, any result that happens on a football pitch is down to you. And of course, the players. Because at the end of the day, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm 29 years of age. When did we move to the Emirates? This can't hurt me. I've been seeing heartbreak. But for you lot, whether you leave Arsenal and go and win trophies, or you won trophies before, or you never win a trophy again, one day you lot's career is going to be done. And you're going to either look back and tell your grandkids, I won this, I did that, or you're going to have to live with regret. The pain of discipline hurts, but it hurts a lot more than regret. And we haven't shown discipline across massive aspects of this football club. We have taken our foot off the gas since it became clear that somewhat our fortunes have changed, going from back-to-back 8th to challenging for a title. Well, it is what it is. I'm very relaxed, man. Don't support the club. I'll support whatever I want, to be fair with you, man. Like, I'll support exactly what I want. I will not stop supporting Arsenal Football Club. I don't know what you're on about. Crying because we are third, not halfway through the season, get a life. You got to ask yourself, if you feel I'm crying and I need to get a life, why are you listening to someone on you? Why are you spending your precious time where we're dying every day listening? Like, I've not cried one bit. I'm not going to, when things are going great, I'm going to have a lot to say. When things are going negative, I'm going to have a lot of things to say. And I've just said, you've got to be balanced. But again, I hear it because that's copium. At the end of the day, there's reasons to be positive about Arsenal, and you also know there's reasons to be negative about Arsenal. But you'd rather just bury your head in the sand because you don't want to hear something or a different opinion. I hear it. Football is a game that can bring out the old. An 8-year-old man can act like a child over football. It's an emotional game, so I get it. But come on now, listen. If you're gonna criticize me personally, listen to exactly what's been said before. But anywho, man, continuing. Chelsea have 2 squads, and one of them is competing in the Conference League. Ain't the same level of competition, so they're very much in the title race. They are in the title race, and I don't think I would love to have Chelsea's level of depth. Maybe not so many players, so I'm a hypocrite, but I don't think we're asking for that. I just think we're asking for more bodies, man. There's very little to rebuttal people with who Arteta want out at the moment. It's wild to be saying otherwise. At the very least, Arteta needs to feel heat right now, and that's it. Like, you just got to feel like, come on, Gaffer. I rate Arteta. Like, I rate you. All I've done is say I rate him. I'm not saying he's the guy and I'm Arteta till I die, but I rate the tactics. I rate the courage you've shown. I rate some of the difficult decisions. I rate a lot of the tactical aspects. But there's evident areas of improvement, and there's been evident areas now where the vast majority, I believe, of the problems we've been discussing in this live stream and throughout the weekend and probably in the last 2 weeks, I don't think we've woken up and they're suddenly here. I think they've been here for a while. Arteta deserved to lose that game. He's blaming the chances and opportunities, but forgot in mind he brought in Havertz. I don't think he deserved to lose the game, but I mean, again, self-inflicted, man. Self-inflicted. Why not remove Moreno instead of Odegaard? How is removing your key creative midfielder a sensible decision, regardless of how poor he was during the game? He just needs one pass to unlock the defense, which I agree. And, again, if it worked for Arteta, we'd be praising it. If not, then he's got to hold that, man. It is what it is. Kyle Edwards is playing tonight, so I assume he's going to be playing tonight for the 21, so I don't expect him. You never know. Would love to see the A-Lenders. Don't expect him to be involved for Crystal Palace midweek, and probably not on the weekend. We need better. That's rubbish, man. We need better players. Well, if we need better players, whose job is that? Whose job is that? Who assembled this squad? Whose job is that to do? Come on, man. Like, if we genuinely need better players, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It's not an Amarin thing where he's walked in for 2 seconds and you can say he needs better players. Arteta, when you just walked in and those kind of years, cool. The last 2 years, that's redundant. We do need better players in certain positions, but what, we have to tear up the whole squad. A lot of Arsenal fans, and for what it's worth, I don't think Havertz is starting quality, but he's good enough to contribute in the squad. A lot of fans waffled about him. Rightly so, a lot of fans waffle about Saka. A lot of fans like myself still holding on for Martinelli. Martinelli should be a bench rotation option, but he's in the squad. Martin's in the squad. You've just bought Moreno. You've just bought Calafiori. Benjamin White's doing well. Saliba and Gabriel are great. Raya's doing his thing. And there's many others. You need a bit of a boast. But them excuses there about you simply need better players, it's gone. It's gone. It plays it's a leg to this, but come on, no, because you can sign whatever striker you want, and of course they might score a bit more goals than Kai because they're better. But can you really say a striker right now deployed in that system is being given the best conditions? There's link up play all around. There's runs for him to. There's runs of his teammates to exploit. We're creating a bunch of clear cut chances. Fair enough. Fair enough. Needed a striker. Always have no surprises. We can't score in open play. This was the season we threw it away, even with all the red cards and BS calls against us. This was ours to run away with. That striker thing is 5 years of fans saying get a striker, still ignored. Arteta puts himself in these positions. A simple thing like that is why Arteta out blows up. I don't think it is a. I don't think people should be with pitchforks with Mikel Arteta, like get him out, like I want to kill him and all of that. But if fans genuinely believe he's got us to a point and he can't get us over that, I can't have any rebuttal. For what it's worth, at this moment in time, I'm not saying get Mikel Arteta out. And I think there was a comment. I think if that was the case, Arteta is not going to leave until fans vote with their feet. Ultimately, that kind of cost Arsene Wenger. That defo cost Gooner Emery, because if you remember how many free seats there were, what was it, Frankfurt? That defo cost him. It's just self-inflicted issues. That's my frustration. Everyone knew what the issue was last season, and the club did nothing to address it in the summer. The club only buys defenders. Board are just happy with Champions League football. No other big club loses 3 title races in succession and keeps the manager. We need fresh ideas. Boy, the players forgot they have a striker just crossing the ball in the area. Fair enough. DG Light with Kaiser service reliant striker, ain't it? In order to receive service, you need to stay in the box and not near the touchline. He's just a jack of all trades, master of none. I agree with that, but I do think he's a service reliant player, let alone footballer. He's a facilitator. The best strengths I've seen of Kai Havertz is you're a bit of a shithouser and you're better off the ball than you are on it. You are. Kai Havertz, what I mean by that is Kai's not going to create his own goals. Like, what's wrong with that? Kai's not going to get the ball and dance past bare, man. He's going to score tap-ins and score headers and be on the receiving end at late runs. That's a service-reliant striker. I can't really like. I agree with you. He's the master of none, but that's what I believe with Kai. Don't blame me for tapping up, bro. Checking out, pause. Feels like Wenger part 2 from 011 to 018. Stubborn coach, bad talent ID. All managers are stubborn, to be fair. And I wouldn't say the talent. For me, I don't think the talent ID has been bad. I just think we missed the ball really and truly. And there's a lot of errors that are coming back to haunt us. And all the power to make big decisions from the Kroenkes because they don't care. The inverted wing-back thing's messing up the team. Other teams find out how to deal with it. Arteta can't bring us across the line. To be fair, everyone's doing inverted fullbacks. I don't think inverted fullbacks is an issue of us. There are the last 2 games, admittedly, because of the fact we've been drawing, I would have liked organic fullbacks. But Arteta's going to have to live or die by it, man. Isn't it always next season for Man United? Whatever. What's the latest word on United? Filthy gears. It could always be next season for Man United. And I hear that with Evra, but I don't care what's next for Man United. I don't care what's next season for Man United. I couldn't give a flying monkeys. If they win the league, great. If they don't, last time I checked, the team on my crest is Arsenal Football Club. And it does always feel like I don't like the messenger, but I can't disagree with the message. It does always feel like next season with Arsenal. It does always feel like there's this, you get close, but not too far. You know, the war chest stuff comes out, the think pieces about how we tried to get this guy, that guy. And then we go into next season. Obviously, naturally, you let bygones be bygones and focus on the season ahead. It does feel like that. It does feel like that. I do feel like that. I don't like the messenger in Patrice Evra, but just because I don't like you from when you're talking nonsense in football, doesn't mean I think you're wrong. Arteta has got us far enough. We need a better manager. I'm just hoping we go on a Cinderella Champions League run. We do have a squad that could accomplish it. Just a matter if they can get that spark at the right time. I hope so. I don't think so. I think we can get every team in Europe a game across 2 legs, but I don't know across 2 legs we'll get over the line, man. And the champion, we're talking about fine margins in the Prem. For me, there's fine margins in the Champions League. Like, I don't think we're gonna get embarrassed. Like, we're gonna get hit for 10 and all of those. Like, let's have it right. Champions League nights have been dark since we moved to they were dark at Highbury to a degree, but they've been dark since we've been at the Emirates. I don't think they can. Of course, we're in it to win it, can have an opportunity, but and I hope I'm wrong. Again, I'd love to win the champs, but me sitting here, I don't know. Like, I don't think they can. Like, there's only a couple of players when the bright lights are on in the Champions League. I think they've got it. And then you're relying on the gaffer as well, in which, unpopular opinion, I would say last year is probably the happiest I've been. Obviously, I'm not happy to just be competing, but last year was probably the year I thought, you know what, fair enough in Europe, Mikel Arteta. Because again, the damage was done. I know Martinelli missed a penalty. Ramsdale got done from the halfway line in the Sporting Lisbon game, but the damage was done really and truly in the first leg. One thing that out of all as much as I like Arteta, one unforgivable thing, and it's a bit nonsense from me, one unforgivable moment would be when he played Smith Rowe in the semi-finals of a Europa League as a false nine. Boy, long time I've wanted to hold this manager in my hand and slap some sense into this brother. Ooh, hey, let's not advocate violence. Saka's recent interviews, we want to attack more. It's obvious, bro. He's holding the team back. I can't disagree. I don't agree, but I can't disagree with these things. Like, if this is how you lot feel, you're valid. We haven't even replaced Edu yet, so that kind of shows the mentality of the highest up. Pardon me, it's a miracle. Saka is made of vibranium. If he went down with an injury, I'd struggle to think we could get fourth in the league. Less of that, man. Less of that. We rebuke everything. Martinelli's maybe a younger Salah type, runs fast, patience with him, not like Chelsea with Salah. I think Salah's always had better IQ. For me, Martinelli, we just got to do what Brazil do with you. Like, you're a squad player. You come off the bench and do whatever. You're not a starter now. You're not playing like a starter. We need someone that's up. It's harsh to demand, ideally, someone that's putting up Saka numbers. But arguably, if we just had someone that was 50% Bukayo Saka on the left-hand side, they'd be a lot better than what we've got. So I wouldn't sell Martinelli, but it's a bench thing. Like, it's a bench and rotation thing. Bro, it's not our job to find managers. We don't have access to data the club has. Brighton find managers. I expect the club to find another manager. It's not our job to name a replacement. Even then, Gasperini, I wouldn't be against. Inzaghi, I like him. Nagelsmann, I'm not sure. If I'm honest, I'm not saying he's better or worse than Arteta. I've never been sure of him. I used to rate him heavy, and then I don't know. I got no evidence. But yeah, I don't think you're right there. I don't think Liverpool stumbled upon Klopp, and not to diss Klopp, but he weren't their first option. They were going after Xabi Alonso and doing the most. Now, that's not to diss Klopp, but that's to praise Liverpool. There was a spanner in the works, whatever. Now, we don't know how Klopp's time is going to be filled at Liverpool. They might lose. They might win this league title in the next couple of years. There's issues, because I actually think Slot is working a bit of a miracle, because they FSG or whatever it's called. They done him dirty, really. You've got a half-fit Chiesa, but it's working out all right for him. And to be fair, again, it's about getting it over the line. But, you know, Liverpool fans probably did not expect this. They probably hoped to be in the conversation for fourth, let alone where they are now. If we're getting a new manager, Jardim or Xavi, I've gone past the Leonardo Jardim stuff. We hired Arteta as a rookie. Anyone with a CV is an option. Nagelsmann can do something with these players we have. It's Arsenal. It should never be a manager's first job. KSC, the bigger issue. People don't want to talk about the team's problems. Oh, mate, big up leader. People forget we tried to sign top players 3 years ago and they said no. I think I kind of want to leave that, but then how far does that go? If you try to sign top players, try to sign some more. Or if all the top players are for one reason or another are saying no, rework your strategy. Maybe find players with the scope to be better. How far does that go? How far does that go? Because I know if I go to a rave and two guys say, no, I don't want your number, I'm leaving with something. You can criticize Arteta and still not want him sacked. People calling their own players pathetic is not supporting the team. I can only be held accountable for myself. Don't know what other people are saying and all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I do think you can call a performance pathetic. I do. I'm not a fan of, obviously for me, I'm all about criticizing it from a football aspect. When it goes left and other things that have nothing to do with football, I don't know what people are saying. I don't condone that. Big up DG chatting sense. Do you think with the squad we have, we would get more out of the team with a change in formation? Not really, but at this moment in time, you know, Arsenal are a bit of a mark. We're known, isn't it? Arteta's been here for a while. Everyone knows how you want to play. Any change could put a spanner in the works for oppositions. To be fair with Jesus, I thought he could have been a decent answer for us at the time of the signing. Everyone did. Everyone did. Like, that's why I would. My only issue with Mikel Arteta is now this present Jesus, on top of the options we've got, can't get us over the line. Mikel Arteta didn't injure him for Brazil. Mikel Arteta is not the reason he can't score goals. My only issue, actually, when we signed Gabriel Jesus, is because I said I don't think it's going to work as a number 9. At best, it will be a Lacazette thing. I love the premise. You give him an opportunity to play through the middle, and from a tactical point of view, you know, you can see why, but it was naivety. Obviously, it would have been a masterstroke, but the man's never been a cold-hearted goal scorer. We have good players, but some are not to the level. We need a bit of talent with egos in the change rooms, players that step up on the criticism, not the likes of Martinelli and Jesus. I think everybody is trying to step up, but I just don't think people have got it to the level we want, man. Is this all on Arteta or the players as well? Because I feel like the players aren't taking responsibility on the pitch. No shooting from outside the box or risk taking off. The players are the ones playing. They've got to take responsibility, and they're therefore in this. Arteta's not played like Arteta's not on the pitch, so you can criticize him, but it's 100% it's on the players. And you are right. I do want to see that healthy randomness, but at the same time, when you listen to the interviews, the players are buying into what Arteta is wanting them to do, and they're only doing what Arteta is saying on the football pitch. So this is it for me. Everyone's in it. There's no, it's all Arteta, it's just the players, it's just the cronkies. We're all in this. We do not have a midfielder that can break mid blocks. Instead of going for one, we went for Moreno. Arteta's got to hold that. Would definitely like to see the wingers switch sides during games as well. Odegaard play left 8. I don't think we ever will. I did want to see that once upon a time, man. We just need a better striker. Havertz becomes depth. Someone in left wing to cause problems. Same way Saka does right wing. I get how disappointing the season has been. I just don't understand why everyone feels like the season's over. There are 22 games left, and we are currently 6 points back from Liverpool. The mathematics are great, and this is why I don't think it's all doom and gloom. But for me, I've mentally checked out from any potential title race because of what I'm seeing with my eyes. If in the next 10 or game week 26, because that would be 10 games, I might feel a lot different. But I can only go off what I'm saying. And I like to think I've been very consistent from the Wolves game, first game of the season to now. I've said before, I don't think we've played. I think we've played subpar to our standards a lot more than we've played amazing this season. For me, off the top of my head, considering we was down to 10 men and all of that, City, no complaints. Sporting Lisbon, there are little schisms, but I think we were great there. West Ham, all right, anytime you score 5 goals, yeah, we shouldn't have scored 2. Cool. Other than that, I think we played a lot better than I would have thought, considering the players missing and all that jazz about Liverpool. Fair. I wouldn't expect put that there, but fair enough. But then there's games where I've wanted a bit more. I've said the same things when we played Southampton and Leicester. The same thing against Aston Villa when we won. Those are 3 victories, by the way. A lot of the things I've said about the Fulham, about the Everton, and well, to be fair, you could throw United in there. We weren't tested. That's not our fault. United, it's not our fault what they're doing, and we can only play us in front of them. But I've said there's a lot of these same concerns when we've beaten Wolves, when we've beaten Leicester, when we've beaten Southampton, when we've beaten Villa. Forgive me if I'm wrong. North London derby's cool as well, by the way. I'm remembering a few, but there's been more often than not where I haven't thought we played to our standards. So yeah, man. No, I'm not a fan of glazing. I'm not a fan of dishonesty. Like, I'm not a fan of the negative dishonesty. I'm not a fan of acting like everything's perfect and saying things without context. Like, Richard isn't saying this, but there's some fans that will sit there and say, oh, there's 22 games left. We're only 6 points off Liverpool. If they drop, and that's great. That's all logical. Have you noticed when I'm talking, I only speak about Arsenal, you know, because I know if we fix up internally, the other talking points become conversations. That's just me, man. It's everyone. If you ain't hit the like button, please make sure you do. Change the club instead. Nah, man, it's an Arsenal thing. It's an Arsenal thing. Form can and will return. It's just a matter of how long we ride that wave. Again, I hear that. And I do think we'll get back to scoring goals and winning games, but the damage could be done or it could be too late. That's great. But again, for me, I've come into, I don't know about no one else, Richard, but I've come into the season just thinking about fine margins, you know. When we've won, what could we do great? When we've lost, what kind of, beyond the obvious, what kind of negatives can we apply? Because there are going to be little isms and schisms. We'd all love to as Arsenal fans. You're not going to win 38 games. It can and will, but to what extent? And a lot of the thing around game management, I've said this in games. A lot of people, for all of Zinchenko's issues, a lot of people scapegoat that man for Aston Villa at home, failing to remember that there's several players for them goals we conceded, and also should have killed the game in the first half. And I know it takes forever to change things, but for me, and kind of on brand with this live stream, a lot of the issues have been there even the first year for the title. There's a lot to be positive about this football club, but there's also a lot of areas of improvement that takes us over the line. There's no point waffling about what we're good at. Take the good and make it great. The things that need improvements, that's what's going to take you forward. It's like in life. If you was like, because we're at the end of the year, this is now the time where you, me, everybody is talking about, what they've achieved this year, whatever. If you was to look at there's no point looking at the things you're doing good in your life. Make that great. Leverage that. It's the things you're not doing that make the difference. I don't really care about what we're good at. Of course I do, but that's not going to get us to the next level. And even the things we're good at, naturally, there's been regression defensively is one of them. And that goes for the whole team. Arteta has to tell these players you need to win trophies to be remembered or you regret at the end of your career. He probably has, and these players know, man. And you have to criticize when needed, man. But people don't hear it. Someone needs to talk to the players like this. They're moving complacent, always next season until one day you look back and your career is over. I think a lot of teams will be moving towards the Chelsea model with the amount of games being played. Probably. Need that trip to Dubai. There's no Dubai this year, man. So we're going to have to get it done. Calafiori is the Italian Tomiyasu. Accept it. Good afternoon, DG. Appreciate you. Answered yesterday to the survey. Right now, it's more hope. Exactly. For me, it's hope. I don't like hope. I don't like to sit here and for me, want to waffle that. Of course, I'm not saying give up the season. As dark as it might be, I don't want the players to believe they can't win anything. And at the end of the day, even if you do, the sun's still going to come up every day. You need to get things done. I don't want to waffle about teams might drop points. We will go on a run. There's 20 plus games. These are all true things. I just want to look at how we're playing and how we get out of that. They all start for their countries. Arteta got banished Smith Rowe, Nelson, and now Tini. Look at the left-hand side, it's dead. I mean, you can do all of that, but I'm not against. I mean, I am against Smith Rowe, and I love the guy. But when I remove my love for Smith Rowe as a footballer, my bigger thing is you've not replaced Granit Xhaka. Obviously, there's been injuries and turnovers at left back, but you've not replaced Granit Xhaka, and we don't have an upgrade on Martinelli or anything. So internally, I think we could have fixed that left-hand side. Been saying he made horrible signings. Now everyone we laughed at because we were lucky and got close, they now have a better squad somehow. How does this work? Excuses now. Kivio and Zini need to be sold. We sign Hato or some other left back, and Arteta has MLS as a third option at left back next season if that's what we're building towards. I must admit, I had a thought on the topic of Lewis Kelly. I know he's been doing his thing at left back, but I'm not saying this is the right or wrong thing, but with all the question marks on that in that left eight, and I mean Lewis Kelly started 2 games in a week now. Could or should or would any of you play him left eight or in that left centre mid role? Because it's still up for grabs, bro. It's been up for grabs for 2 years now. Moreno hasn't grabbed it necessarily. Rice will go over there if Partey's in the side. Rice is in there himself. There's still a couple places up for grabs. Pep did spend 100 on Guardiola, though. Kai should be played like Jeremy play him. Need a relief around 65 minutes to a real scoring threat. Musiala needs to come too, though, Cap. I mean, I'd love us to side Musiala, but dream chasing, man. Moving away as well, man. Apparently, Raheem Sterling has reportedly made a decision over his future ahead of the January transfer window and his dismal smell on loan at Arsenal. Apparently, despite the lack of game time, Sterling has decided he wants to remain at the Emirates, according to the London Standard. I don't think there would have been any plans to rip up his deal either way. We knew the Marcus Rashford rumours were going to start. Obviously, he was left out of the match day squad for United's win. Apparently, what's Charles Watts said in relation to this? Marcus Rashford's name always seems to pop up when it comes to Arsenal these days. He always seems to be part of the conversation, certainly amongst fans anyways. And I get it, Mikel Arteta, he can get a tune out of players that are down on their luck. I like the illusion of Marcus Rashford. I wouldn't necessarily be angry, but then the reality where he's going to be on big money, not that I care, is going to be a decent fee. And this whole stream we've been talking about we've got more questions than answers. And there's a lot of answers. We don't know what we're going to get with Rashford. That's before you talk about all the other stuff. And if we talk about how Mikel Arteta can work with players that are down in their luck, how's about working with players that have a good base, haven't necessarily hit all of their potential, don't have a lot of the baggage that some of the names we're linked with, and sign them? I don't know anyways, people. Certainly amongst fans anyways, that might be the case again as we head towards January, given what's going on with him at Man United at the moment. Do I think he could be an opportunity for Arsenal? I don't think so, to be honest. I'm not sure he's what's needed. If he was still the Rashford of a couple of years ago, then my thoughts would be different. Amen. He's 27. And if he signed, then he was great. It's a masterclass. If not, it's more of the same. But if that was the case, then he'd be playing week in, week out. Exactly, bro. Man was left out. I know Man United and City are not what they used to be, but man was left out of one of the biggest games of the season. Fair enough. And I know nicking it at the end changes the whole narrative, but Ruben Amorim, for whatever reason, said, whether we win, lose, or draw here, I don't need you like that. I'm not a fan of Marcus Rashford always being in the papers, but I'm not on this, if I'm honest with you. And would he be allowed to sign for Arsenal on loan? Would Manchester United necessarily sanction that? I don't know, people, because they're in the Europa, in the Prem. Technically, we hope they're out, but still in the FA Cup, etc., etc. And injuries can strike, as we've seen this year, man. But he's not there, and there's a reason for that. So if Arsenal or anyone else were to move for him in January, then they would be doing so in the hope that he could rediscover his best form again. In life, they say it's the hope that kills. It would be just a bit of a gamble, similar to what Arsenal did with Sterling in the summer. Another player people said Arsenal, or specifically Arteta, could get the best out of. We haven't seen that yet. That's certainly not been a gamble that's paid off. Rashford would be a far more expensive one as well. I do think Arsenal have to pull something out the bag in January. It's clear they need at least one other viable option in the final third, even if it's a loan deal to get them through to the summer when they can push for their main targets. Ooh, back there again. This season has shown they need more. It felt in the summer that they had left themselves at least one attacker short, and that was with Sterling's late loan move factored in. The fact that Sterling doesn't seem to be considered for minutes now, even when the team is desperately in need of a goal, really shows that the squad is probably two attackers short in terms of where it needs to be. So January does feel crucial for Arsenal and their ambitions over the second half of the season. It won't be easy to find what's needed, but they have to give it a go. Don't think I can disagree with Mr. Watts there. It was probably predicted that Arsenal would be linked with Kolo Muani, and actually, I don't know for United, but United have apparently been offered or are interested, and allegedly both clubs have been offered this man via intermediaries in October. He's clearly not out of Luis. He's clearly better yet. Sorry, not in Luis Enrique's plans. Beggars can't be choosers, but when you're hungry, even the most mediocre of meal looks amazing. Really, I'm not really for this man, but I'd be the first one to say so. I don't really believe in Kolo Muani, but if we did sign him, I'd be the first to say sorry. I mean, we know we're not going for Osimhen, people, but reports in Italy are saying through intermediaries, PSG asks Napoli if Napoli, the release clause is the only way to sign Osimhen. The answer was a clear yes. Galatasaray are ready to pay, but Osimhen wants the Premier League, but his 12 million euros per year wages are a real burden for anyone. Apparently, Napoli wanted Osimhen's 120 million euros fee match for the summer. Clearly, that didn't work out. Apparently, people, there'll be a slightly lower release clause. It'll be 81 million euros, and it'll be valid from January 2025. From July, the clause will be 75 million euros. So Napoli were a bit greedy, weren't they? And it didn't work out. Apparently, Arsenal, Liverpool, City have told Barcelona they're prepared to sign Rafinha if the Brazil star is placed on the transfer list. Really? You're talking about 100 million for a 28-year-old? That's not really right up Arsenal Street, but with current form, it would be amazing. And you never know with Barcelona. It always seems like they need to do a madness. Ryan Cherky has refused to rule out a move away from Lyon following his links with the Premier League. Now, equally, there are also rumours that say he wants to stay at his current employers. Would love him, really. I think he's a very good player. And I think if he really, really wants it, forgets talent, like you really want to apply yourself, you could be one of the best players in the world. Court of Sight says Liverpool, Arsenal, West Ham, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Crystal Palace are all linked with him, people. So we'll have to watch that space. Allegedly, Arsenal ready to submit a bid for Brighton and Hove Albion João Pedro as they look to bolster their attacking roster. We've been here before. Apparently, an offer between Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool are interested as well. 55 to 65 million euros could be what it takes. But apparently Brighton wants 70, so we're not doing that in Jan. And when it comes to transfers away from this club, Kivio's an easy one, I guess, for the tabloids to talk about because he doesn't really play like that. Apparently, he wants his agents to find him a new club. Now, Kivio, with the greatest of respect, unless we bring another body in, you're going nowhere in January. In the summer, you should have done your thing. In the summer, if you want to cut next summer, you can do what you want to do. Apparently, tensions after the final whistle between Vlahovic and some Juventus players in the stands, people. So, is he at loggerheads of his own future? And actually, people, if you give me a second, while I'm still here, there's actually been there's a couple of things I'm missing out. I'm not quite sure how much you want to take heed of this, people, but well, no, I've already got the Rafinha thing. We've spoken about Rafinha. Where Mohamed Kudus is concerned, apparently Newcastle are keen to compete with Arsenal and Liverpool for the signing of West Ham's 90 million rated winger, Mohamed Kudus. Would love him. I mean, you could be a long-term Salah replacement. Would love you in the mix at Arsenal. We probably should have bought you when you was at Ajax, but that's neither here nor there. Be a quality signing for Newcastle, but don't you hear Newcastle are struggling with PSR and they might have to sell Guimaraes, or is that surely the transfer fee when you're talking 80 to 90 million for Kudus? How Newcastle going to do that in January or the summer? I don't know. Weirder things have happened, but Very inconsistent reports depending on where you read. Again, Arsenal in contact over a move to sign Rafinha. Don't believe that, but it is what it is. We've gone over Kudus already. Arsenal expect significant competition from Man United in the race to sign Vlahovic. Again, Arsenal hold talks with Juventus striker Vlahovic's agent ahead of January. I don't know whether to take heed of that. Apparently, Leipzig want to sign Xavi Simons on a permanent deal. The German club is considering offering 50 million to PSG with a percentage of a future resale. I'd love us to get involved. The Athletic did say Arsenal, as well as a whole host of Premier League clubs, do like Xavi Simons, people. Speaking of Arsenal, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Inter Milan have approached Victor Reis in recent days. Allegedly, he's been linked with us for a while. Real Madrid have the longest standing interest in the defender, and their track record of getting those South American talents, boy, it is what it is. Now, apparently, Wirtz is likely to stay at Leverkusen beyond this summer. There's some reports he signed an extension, but there's also some conflicting reports to say he hasn't signed an extension with them. So that seems to be the news currently, people, where Arsenal are concerned. I big up myself and big up you lot, because if you lot didn't support the platform, I wouldn't have been on TalkSports Watch Along across the weekend, people. But this week, unless I get the late call up, well, I probably won't. We're back to watch-alongs, and we've got a double header where Arsenal are concerned. We're watching Arsenal twice this week. We're watching Spurs versus Man United on Thursday. I'm sure Sunday is Spurs versus Liverpool, so we'll be there. And Aston Villa City, and I might be missing out games. So yeah, man, big up you lot. Should we see what else has been there? We've gone over Sterling. The Monaco manager said he wouldn't mind signing Kolo Mane, so that's that. Big up Ramsdale for, doing up punditry already. Did you not see Southampton are in trouble, completely off topic? Like, Spurs dumped on them. We're always the rumour club, gets all the fans gas. Unfortunately, though, DG, we ain't signing anyone in Jan. We never do. I think it depends on the profile. If it's the Jorginho and Trossard types where their club has made it clear they want to sell them, or Kivior, which is not going to be too expensive, then great. But to be fair, we didn't get none of these players, but when we tried to get Caicedo, Mudryk, Vlahovic, we were prepared to commit big fees. Maybe we were bidding for players we knew we wasn't going to get. Unless it's an opportunity, in my opinion, and who am I, but unless it's an opportunity too big for Arsenal to turn down, like a unique market opportunity, I don't think Arsenal are going to get it done, or some crazy wonder kid or something. I'd rather play some academy kid over Rashford, recall Sego Jr. Anything is better. Rafinha is on smoke. He ain't leaving Barca. Arguably their best player this season, even against Legales. He was their best player on the pitch. Arsenal always going to miss the trick when shopping at Brighton. Brighton keep on producing good attackers because Matoma is there teaching them all the dribble mechanics to PhD level. That made me laugh. Get Vlahovic. I'd take Vlahovic. We should have got him years ago, but yet again, we always mess up out in the window. We should be going for Kudus, Victor Osimhen, Isaac, and Cherky isn't a bad option also. So you lot even in mixed opinions. MLS should be the left back for the rest of the season. Don't trust Calafiori defensively, and he isn't available. Same with Tomiyasu when it comes to availability. Boy, they ain't doing ish in Jan. Be real. In the circle, you never mix your words. No one is coming. No top team will let their top player go when they need that player for the remainder of the season. Exactly, in which you have to pay an inconvenience fee. January is a reactive window. In an ideal world, nobody signs anyone in Jan, but it might be an opportunity generally too good to turn down. It might be a little scouting signing to tick you over for the season. Obviously, players want to leave clubs, either on loan or permanently, because they're not playing. It's a reactive window. Contracts, players might be running down. It's a reactive window, man. We're seeing top talent from other leagues every game we play in the champs. We don't want our rivals cast-offs. For Ruben Amorim this season is about learning the squad. Then comes summer transfer window, bringing the right players to try and challenge for the league. I take Rashford over Trossard and Martinelli right now, but his wages are too high. I think we'll pull our hair out. With Trossard's current form, definitely between Martinelli and Rashford, probably more them two. We go and throw Gabriel Jesus in there. We'd be going mad. I like the illusion of Rashford. Don't get twisted. I do like maybe what I would say with Rashford, and before I be a bit negative, I like Rashford. I actually like Rashford. I like your raw capabilities on the football pitch. I do think if you bought in better yet to what Arteta wants as a good player, maybe a change of club and environment and area from Manchester to London, this could help, all of these kind of things. But then why I wouldn't do it is because we keep picking up damaged goods. I've been talking about unanswered questions. Rashford would be another one. There's even been times where Rashford has had strong goal scoring seasons where I've question marked his footballing IQ, in which to play for Arteta, you need that. I think Rashford gets injured a lot. He's very inconsistent. I don't think it's the thing. And for whatever transfer fee and whatever. Like, I just don't think it's the thing. And again, especially when it comes to players like Rashford, I hate when it gets to the off-field stuff. But you look at Arsenal right now, and you know what? Players of all clubs could be doing madness, and the papers are not keeping at it really. But it seems like the players, if you haven't got a girlfriend, you're engaged, so you got a fiance. If you ain't got that, you're married. You got kids. There's stability here. Every time you type in Rashford is going somewhere. Like ugly gal are selling stories about him. Like it's crazy. Rashford's in a sunken place at the moment. Not everyone can be saved, man. Not everyone can be saved. We've got to tune out of Havertz to a degree, but there's those question marks. And Rashford is 27, bro. If you're not going to come and be amazing and be that left winger because you're not intelligent to play up front, people killed Jose when he said that. It's dead. Forget it. I like the illusion of Rashford, but then when you break it down, it don't make no sense. We need to stay as far away from Rashford as possible. Can we get Kudus or Gyökeres? We can't rehab Rashi. He should have been a free agent and had his pick. How is it possible we became so defensively minded from 2 seasons in a row, scoring goals from left, right, and centre, exciting and quick on the transitions with almost the same players? I blame the manager. I must admit, I do think we needed to scale back a bit in an attacking sense because we were too naive. That season is looked over rose tints. We did well. We played great football, like you said, threats down both sides. But I do think it's a trade-off, innit? Like I do think we needed to be a bit more sensible, and I think last season we did have that. We was a lot more defensively sound, and I'd love for Mikel Arteta to combine the season you're talking about and last season, so the offensive play and the defensive play, and do whatever. I do think Arteta's gone the other way though. Like it's not that we're reactive, but what we're doing is too much thinking about the opposition, which is a double-edged sword because I like certain fragments of that from Mikel Arteta, and I do think managers should be arrogant. I do think they should overcomplicate. I do think and this goes for everyone, they should be overthinkers. So yeah, I just think we've gone the other way a bit. Yeah, Arsenal's women are doing their thing. Ethan and Odegaard need to be on together. Moreno's been cheeks, went Spain and left with him. Is sackable. Damn. MLS can become the Cazorla replacement eventually. Big arts to replicate Santi, man. We need a progressive left 8 who can play through the lines. MLS might actually be worth a try. Been saying MLS is better than Moreno. Arteta ain't got the cojones to play MLS left 8. I hear that, but he's brought him on against, and you're right, he's brought him on against Liverpool. He's brought him on against City when we got 10 men. Started him in the Champions League. And of course, there wasn't really I wouldn't say there's pressure with the Everton game, but there was pressure with us wanting to win. He started him. If it was up to me, DG, I'd be rotating Ethan and MLS in the left 8. The club talking about how they'll only act in the January transfer window if an opportunity comes up. Guess what? Osimhen is an opportunity as Napoli don't want him, and his loan at Gala could be cancelled. Boy, any news on Vlahovic? I think we covered that. I don't care about men's football as much anymore. I prefer watching the women's games. Big up the women because, I mean, the women's changed their manager and they're doing all right, people. Wenger hoped to go undefeated. We, the fans, laughed at him. Guess we were all realists once. The fan base is not as connected to realism anymore with how Wenger's era ended. To be fair, Wenger said with chess we could do it. So he had conviction. Big up Bosnian powerhouse. DG, big up to you for being one of the only creators who reads and communicates with pretty much everyone in your chat. Big respect. I think there's many creators who do that, but big up you lot, because if you lot didn't offer your opinions, as much as I like making videos, I'm tired of my own voice. I don't like, if you just heard your own voice and your own point of view, you don't learn anything. So I love to be here with you lot. Sometimes I'm not right. You lot are not right. I'm not wrong. You lot are wrong, but sometimes not wrong. Sometimes I might think something and one of you will say something, and I'm a man that if you present me with a different way of thinking or a point, I'll be like, right, you got a point. Sometimes you lot say stuff and I'm like, oh, you know what? Like Rashford, there was a time I was pro on bringing Rashford to the carpet. Some of you have said, yo, DG, and I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. I can't lie, bro. The club as a whole aren't serious. Arteta, the board, the fans, it is what it is. We need Cunha to bolster our attack. The Arsenal team would be great in the 2000s. That's where all the draws would work. We are not in a title race currently, more a top 4 battle. Arteta for a new king, for a new king. Not sure what you mean, but that we aren't in the title race. If you need the other teams to drop points to pass them, it means we aren't in control of the outcome. Liverpool have to drop points for our title fight to be real, and we have to be 6 points better than them from here. Do they have a game in hand? They do technically, but it's not the same. Didn't we overcome the points tally of Liverpool, or where Liverpool's position was around this time last season? I could be wrong, and I'm not saying that to be optimistic. The only thing I would say is, as positive or negative I might sound or might have conveyed, there's still a lot of football to be played. Me, from what I'm seeing, I don't think we're going to win the league. I think we're going to fall short. As I said, I want to be wrong, but in 5 to 10 games or so, I might change my mind, and everyone should be allowed to do that. To be consistent, we need a consistent team in terms of personnel and tactics. Right now, it feels we don't know our best 11. Is that true? Obviously, injuries are forced our hand. But I do think we see the same players and the same tactics, and maybe that's our issue. And not same issue, but another kind of reason for it. Dropping points in half the league games is crazy. The doom and gloom is because of the dreadful performances. We need more rebels in the squad to take tactical demand of the team on the pitch. There are moments Vieira and Henry told the team to bin Wenger's instructions and play to win. I hear that. Shout yourself, T. DG, with our current form, not that I want this to happen. If it continues, do you think the Emirates go mad like in Emre's second season? Nah. You'd have to come out of, like, as bad as it is, like, it is only 2 draws recently. And I'm not saying this as I'm trying to answer your question. I don't think it's an Emre thing. I think, no, it'd have to go, which I don't want, it'd have to go really south. Do you see why I was asking you which is the worst striker we can sign that improves us? Jonathan David is manifesting. To be fair, you've on that. You've been on that. The next 2 windows, big up Filthy Gears as well. You're always here. The next 2 windows will tell us a lot. If we don't sign top players, then I'm Arteta out, because it's proof it was Arteta holding back on signings. Top, because you said top, I'm only expecting top signings in the summer, in which it's not that the summer's not relevant, but isolated to this season. Like, I'm not saying you're saying this, but for me, there's no point talking about next summer. Like, we could sign a prime Lionel Messi in the summer, and don't get twisted, in the summer, be happy, but there's a lot of football to be played, and at this moment in time, mathematically, which is dangerous, we're still competing for 4 trophies. So it's almost irrelevant what you signed there. It could be won or lost by then. And again, another thing I would say as well, completely off topic, is there's another reality where we're doing what Liverpool are doing, and assuming Liverpool go win this league, let's just say Arsenal win it now. Now, I don't doubt the players. I don't doubt Arteta. I might doubt Arteta's methods, but I don't doubt that he would want to win it again. But I do think as a club, since we've got 2 years now, probably going to be a 3rd year in the champs, I think there's been a bit of complacency. I think we've taken our foot off the gas going back to last summer, right? If we were to win that Premier League title, how far would it go? And what I mean by that is, would we see complacency? Because when you're at the top of the mountain, the only way is down, you know. We need a player like Lookman, but Arteta will buy another fullback. Ademola Lookman is more than welcome to move to this club, man. If I see Partey playing right back again, just end the season. I'm not for it. I'm definitely not for it, and I think there's issues. But I just think from Arteta would have to tell me, because last season you were trying to play Partey right back. I must admit, Partey I don't like at right back. On paper, it's horrible. Pardon me, but when I've seen him at right back, it's not that it ain't been that deep. And obviously there's knock-on effects because he's not in the middle of the pitch. But I think there's been bigger problems. You know, obviously Arteta would have to, his galaxy brain in it. But I don't think Partey at right back's been an issue. Like, even when man was like, oh, Partey at right back against Fulham, there was bigger problems than that. What did the Dharma try really and truly do? D, brother, it's all on the manager. The sentimentalism has held us back over the years. We need a prolific striker, but Arteta is reluctant, keeping faith in Kai, Jesus and Trossard, relying on Saka, criminal. I disagree with the thought we don't want to attack. I think our method in attack is just not maximizing the players. Same, which is why I say, I'll tell you, got to go back to the drawing board. Players can take ownership during games as well. The Forest team ignored Nuno's preference to sit back and pressed all over the pitch, which led to them beating Villa. So yeah, this is what I mean. The players, everybody's got to take responsibility, man. Everyone's got to pull their socks up. When things are going right, it's easy to stand up to be counted. Like, now everybody's got to earn their keep. With someone more experienced at sporting director, we actually get a striker and a winger. Isaac is actually the striker we need. If you're Kroenke, you gave the manager 200 M's to spend and he comes back with Kai Havertz, are you going to give him more money again? You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I get that premise. Let's get DG to 65k subs by the end of the year. Appreciate that. I'm 29, old enough, same as me, mate. Old enough to remember us having the likes of Cess, Nasri and Van Persie and being a top centre-back or DM away for, and the owners didn't push the button. As long as we finish top 4, they're happy. And that's still a bit of a problem with Arsenal, man. It's like we're always a couple pennies short for a pound, man. If we got a 10, we got a 6, we ain't got an 8, we got a right winger, we ain't got a left winger, you got a right and left winger, you don't have a striker. Going back to them times, if we had a left back, we don't have a right back. If we got 2 decent fullbacks, we ain't got the centre halves. If we've got 1 good centre half, we don't have a good one. If we've got the back 4, we don't have a keeper. If we got a 10, we don't have a DM. If we got a DM, we don't have a 10. Yeah, man. You love an unfinished project and an unfinished kind of thing, man. You're right. Arteta also signed players no one advised him to sell, like Havertz. I think he means sign. But then again, if there's concerns and Arteta's getting his way, then the Kroenkes and Arteta have to hold blame. You guys heard that we may not get Gyökeres because he wants to be Lewandowski's replacement. I've said it before. I think Arsenal like Gyökeres. I think they've scouted him. I think he must feature somewhere on the short list of all of these strikers that we're looking for, whether it's the household names or the scouts. But rightly or wrongly, I don't think Arsenal are as keen. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why, but I don't think Arsenal are as keen on Gyökeres as the tabloids suggest. If I'm completely honest with you, I don't know why I think that. I just think that unless we get proper backing from our board consistently, nothing will ever change. I hear that, and there's question marks over the Kroenkes, yeah, and there's been question marks maybe about Edu and Arteta, but the last 2 years, and I'm not backing the Kroenkes, is it really a peace thing? Because there's been money, bro. Like the man have spent peas, bro. Like Moreno weren't expensive, but it weren't cheap. Kai Havertz cost a pretty penny. Jesus cost peas. Obviously, I'm now talking about the 3 years, I guess. Declan Rice cost 100 million, which I'm not against because I like Rice. There's been peas. Like, it's not really been the Wenger thing. There's been peas. Like, there's been peas. And it's even like before you get there, like, and again, signings go right, they go wrong. You're never gonna have 100% success rate in it, but there was peas to spend like 30 million on Fabio Vieira. You brought in Ramsdale and then we're allowed peas to go and get right. Like we've got peas. Whether we're spending it right, whether we're budgeting is another thing. Gyökeres is what we need as a striker. He has a release clause, so Arsenal has no excuse. Call me mad, but I know the Gyökeres deal will be done in January, possibly Mudryk as well. I'm calling you mad now, but if we get Gyökeres, you're a messiah. And what I would say is, in hindsight, if that works out, my guy, use your powers for better stuff. Like tell us the lottery numbers. Odegaard needs to play left centre mid. He has the stamina for it. I hear it. We need to calm down a bit. It's still only December. We could go on a run in the second half of the season. We panic too much, but we do need to start capitalizing on these other team slip-ups. I wouldn't say I'm panicking. I'm really just focused on the way we're playing. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying there, JJ, but again, I'm always wary on this when people are having sentences like if and we could and we should and all of these kind of things. I didn't watch the Everton game, so I'm not as mad as everyone else. But the only good thing about the recent games is we are back to choking teams, which is a good sign for clean sheets and our shape. 2022-23 season is a myth. People are not realizing that nobody actually believed that we could smoke teams, so they played open. Now wingers are being double, tripled up. However, we've regressed. I forgot the Bournemouth winger name. He's talking about Semenya, but I'd rather him over Rashford. But does that mean we sell both Gabriel Martinelli and Trossard? They could be on the bench. Rashford would suit the team, really. Arteta's Arsenal really taking one man's trash to another man's treasure to the next level. Why are we always getting everyone's dirty leftovers? Rashford would be the second coming of Willian or Pepe. To be fair, Pepe had issues, but a lot more pleasing to watch than Rashford. And Pepe was just inconsistent. He had footballing IQ. Rashford is 27. The IQ is horrible, man. I said she don't want to be saying, don't say, but big up DG. We'll take Kudus for Saka's replacement / competition. And also, I can't say the Napoli lads for Martinelli. But what is the point of banking in pounds? We need to get rid of our mediocre owners and manager. They're too cheap and our manager is too scared to take risks, which is why we didn't win against Everton. Thoughts on Embuemo? Bring him to the carpet if he's down for the cause. If the club is going to tell the likes of Saka to quell the fans by telling us that we are really going for the league, then we have to bully someone with the currency advantage. Wait. Big up you lot, man. To be honest, we ain't signing no one in Jan. Even big name Aubameyang signing happened because of the internal dispute. Yeah, because, forgive me if I'm wrong, Alexis cut. We are going for the league title. We can't only be signing players that clubs are happy to let go. I hear that. I definitely hear that. If we sell Smith Rowe when he's worth 60 mil to Chelsea and Ketia when he's worth 50 to West Ham or whatever, sell Kivio when Italy wants him, we can buy better. Apparently, Tony is available on loan. I'm here late, but I heard someone say this. I mean, I wouldn't be for it, but I wouldn't be against it. But I don't know why, but I just think with Ivan Toney, I think the club like him as a footballer. I don't think they like him as a person. No, DG, they spent just enough to get Champions League football, but not enough to win titles. Kroenke's here to make money, which is true. And I get that if they're just here to make peas. I hear that, but and we've criticized the Kroenkes, but the last 2 seasons, and I'll kind of cut the club a bit up. The club being the players and Arteta for the first title challenge. Is it the Kroenkes' fault why we missed out on 2 points last season? Because there's got to be a direct, like you look at last season, didn't know who the 8 was, had left 8 problems, had left-sided issues. Kai Havertz for half a year was non-existent. Then he went up front. We had that period, ironically, around now where we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. That 65 million could have went on a striker. Like, I'm not criticizing. I'm not here to keep criticizing Arteta, the players or the gaffer or the owner. Sorry, but are they genuinely the reason why we've dropped 8 points from 16 games at this moment in time? Are they genuinely the reason we missed out from 2 points, missed out on the league 2 points last season? I think in the last 2 years, the good and bad has been on those that they've left in charge, whether they've done well or not, which again, indirectly, I guess, as I said at the start, everything is on the owners because it's your club. But I don't think they can leave and we can do the pitchfork thing. And I'm definitely not saying they're the best or worst owners in the world, but I can't sit here and say we're at where we're at this moment in time because of that. Now, you could say the summer, fair play. Last season, I don't know. Kroenkes ain't the Glazers, my guy. Kroenkes are serious owners. Get rid of a multi-sport billionaire owner. If we beg Tony for a loan, this project is finished. Chris Wood is better than Tony. Yeah, but he's not going to leave Forest. They're trying to give him a new deal. His deal's actually running down. No one in this club was telling Arteta to sign Havertz. The Kroenkes gave this guy the money. Yeah, so they have to take that. But Arteta wanted Donny. Who do you realistically think we're signing in Jan? Last 2 seasons haven't been exciting, and I don't see a big difference from that incoming. Broski, I wish I had answers. Not a clue, man. But I hope we're surprised. I do agree with you that they've backed him. Personally, I don't rate the manager's talent ID, but do the owners care in terms of fixing the issue, in terms of spending until they get it right? Probably not, man. Probably not. We just got to pay the Sesko and Buena release clauses. Boy, time will tell, man. Time will tell, people. But with that being said, yeah, you lot's talking points, etc. It's been amazing. We've been here just shy of 2 hours. It's not an amazing time to be an Arsenal fan with the 2 draws, but I do appreciate you lot's differences of opinions, you know, being here with me, supporting the movement. Again, appreciative to my regulars. And if you're new here, like the video and subscribe. Obviously, this week we've got a lot of watch-alongs to come, so make sure notification bells are on. I'm going to go and have a late lunch, people, and I'll see you lot whenever there's content, man. So on that note, one love.
Against this right back, Charlie's definitely. Like